This is Mr. Vo from MrVoEnglish.com. Having some trouble this morning. Too many videos in a row. So, we've for the past little while, about 10 videos now, we've been running the quadratics unit for algebra program, and this lesson is on solving quadratics by taking square roots, and this is the fourth video for this lesson, which is quadratics by taking square roots with steps. So we're going to show you how to do these problems, and it's with steps, which is why for the last couple of videos I've been really careful about writing out the steps and showing you what the steps are so you can be ready for this one. So if this video is confusing, maybe and you didn't watch the previous videos in this lesson, please go back and look at the previous videos. They'll help you with the steps. I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time on steps because we've been doing it for about 30 minutes already with these two videos before. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so our problem is create a list of steps in order that will solve the following equation. So we want to solve this equation and we want the steps. 2 times x plus 2 squared minus 5 equals 93. I'm going to write up our inverse order of operations up here. So our first step is subtract and add. So step number 1, I want to find something to add to simplify this down to solve for x. And so we end up with 2x plus 2 squared is equal to 98. And we're going to call this step add 5 to both sides. And let's see if we can find that. There it is, add 5 to, it should be add 2 to both sides. No, it is add 5 to both sides. Wow. I just had a problem. I got the steps all screwed up, and I had to restart my video. So now I'm all confused. All right, step 2. Sorry, step 2. Divide and multiply. So I see I multiply by 2 over here. I'm going to divide by 2, and so I'm going to end up with x plus 2 squared is equal to 49. And we're going to call this step divide both sides by 2. And let's see if we got that. Yes, we do. It's right there. Okay. So my step number 3, we're going to move on over to exponent. I see I have an exponent here. So square root. Square root is the inverse of square. So I'm going to call that, take the square root of one side, no, of both sides, ทั้งสองข้าง in Thai. So I end up with x plus 2 is equal to the positive root, which is 7. 7 squared is 49, or x plus 2 is equal to the negative root, because negative 7 squared is also 49. So we're going to take the square root of both sides, and over here, because we broke up this parenthesis inside here, when we go back inside the parentheses, we're going to start over. Okay, so x is equal to 5, or x is equal to negative 9. And we're going to call that step subtract 2 from each side, or from both sides. Subtract 2 from both sides. And let's find out. Let's subtract 2 from both sides. And there's my problem. Let's look at the next one. Create a list of steps in order that will solve the following equation. So let's write it down. X minus 5 squared equals 25. And I'm going to write down my inverse order of operations. And my step number 1, I start with subtract and add, but I don't really have anything to subtract or add here. Go on to divide, multiply. I don't have a coefficient here to divide and multiply, so I'm just going to go straight to the exponent, and inverse of squared is square root, and remember that it's positive or negative. So I'm going to call this, take the square root of both sides. So now I have x minus 5 is equal to positive square root of 25. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 squared is 25. Or x minus 5, the negative square root of 25, or negative 5 squared is 25. So, and then my step 2, I'm going to add 5 on both sides. And I'm going to have x is equal to 10, or x is equal to 0. And I'm going to call that step add 5 to both sides. So really I just have 2 steps. Take the square root of both sides and add 5 to both sides. And I'm done. You get different problems every time that you're doing this in Con, so some of these will be shorter and some of these will be longer. Create a list of steps in order that will solve the following equation. 1/2 x plus 5 squared plus 2 equals 42.5. And remember SADMAP up here. I want to add or subtract, so step number 1 is subtract 2 on both sides. So I have 1/2 x plus 5 squared is equal to 40.5, and we'll call that step subtract 2 from both sides. Do we have that one? Subtract 2 from both sides. Yes, we do. Number 2, I'm going to go over to divide and multiply, and I see I have 1/2, so of 1/2 divided by 2 is 1, so I'm going to end up with x plus 5 squared is equal to 2 times this is 81, and we'll call that multiply both sides by 2. So where's my multiply both sides by 2? There they are. Okay. 3. I'm up, that was my divide and multiply. So I'm up over here on exponents, and I'm going to get to take the square root. And don't forget positive or negative. Okay. So now I have x plus 5 is equal to the positive square root of 81, which is 9, or x plus 5 is equal to the negative square root, negative 9. Negative 9 squared is 81. 9 is 81. 9 squared is 81. So we'll call that step. Take the square root of both sides. And let's see, take the square root of both sides. There it is. And number 4, I'm going to be back at the beginning here, add and subtract. And I'm going to have x is equal to 4, or x is equal to negative 14. So we'll call that one subtract. How much? 5 from both sides. And where is that one? Subtract 5 from both sides. There it is. Okay. Every time you do this, you get new problems. So if you get through and you get 75% or 50%, make sure you go back and do it again. Con works really well if you make sure you try to get 100 on every practice. You do the practice until you can't get it wrong. There's a saying for math teachers. Math teachers like to say, don't do it until you can get it right. Do it until you can't get it wrong. And that's true for a lot of things in life. We really need to just work and work and work until we just do it perfectly. There's a lot of things like that. Music is like that. You have to play scales over and over and over again. You know, basically a lot of skills. If you're a sports player, and you're a basketball player, you just drill jump shots, drill passes until you can't get them wrong, because in the middle of the heat of the moment, like when I'm doing a video, always when I'm doing a video, you're gonna make a mistake. Even if you know the stuff and know it, you're still gonna make a mistake. Okay. So first thing we're gonna start off here. First step is subtract and add, but I really don't have anything over here to subtract or add. Divide, multiply. So I'm going to divide by 3. So my step 1 is there, divided by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. Cancels out. So I'm going to call this step divide both sides by 3. Do I have that? Where is that? Divide both sides by 3. Just luckily chose the right words for that one. Okay, so my next one is exponent. So I'm going to take the square root, because square root and square are inverse, cancel each other out. And so I'm going to have x plus 2 is equal to the positive square root of 16. Remember, there's a positive or negative up here. Or x plus 2 is equal to the negative square root. Okay, so I'm going to take the square root of both sides. I'm going to take the square root of both sides. That's my next one. Alright, and number 3, because we broke up the parenthesis, we're going to go back to the beginning. I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. And it's kind of funny, when you break these up, you end up doing the same stuff. You just end up with a different number for x, but you end up doing the same steps. X is equal to 2, or x is equal to negative 6. So subtract 2 from both sides, and here's subtract 2 from both sides, and check. Okay, and that's how we do the square roots with steps. Knowing how to do the steps and naming the steps is a really important part of math if you want to get really good at it, really proficient at it. So I hope that helped you. If you still have any problems, get a hold of us online. Okay, we're happy to help. Mr. Boy English รับสอนนักเรียนตั้งแต่ป .3 ขึ้นไปทางอินเทอร์เน็ตในสไตล์ EP ครับผู้สนใจช่วยติดต่อครูแจงหรือไปเว็บไซต์ที่ www.mrboenglish.com